I would just say bring it on. At my age, I'm not the kind of person to respond to some of it is really very perfunctory statement made by fairly inexperienced politicians. I think they are not worthy my response. So if anybody thinks that I don't know what I'm doing, then they are up for a rude shock.
My name is Prof, and as usual, I'm going to be your host for today. I'm once again glad to host Professor Fred Ogola here, and of course, you know him, so I want us to discuss some very few things. Prof.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
How are you?
I'm fine. I'm just fresh from Rift Valley. I was in Naivasha. I was doing strategic plan for some of my clients that have really worked well with me for a long time. And in the silence of that meeting, I met with James Mwangi, so we were recalling the good old days in corporate when James Mwangi wanted to go and he was given a scholarship to go and do advanced management program in Harvard. But I told James Mwangi, why don't you come and do this course in Kenya? Because when you go to Harvard, you're going to talk to people from Europe, from the US, from China, from India about banking. But if you do it in Kenya, you'll be in class with Kenyan bankers. You'll be working with Kenyan entrepreneurs, and with the people who are in Kenya, they might actually give you a lot of insights in the wide spaces. That means the opportunities in the banking sector. And James Mwangi told me, but I've got a scholarship to go and do it in Harvard for free. And I told him, okay, in Strathmore we shall give you free scholarship. But then I knew if I get James Mwangi accepting to come to do this course in Strathmore, then I can easily tell people, James Mwangi is coming, he's in a class. Then he became like the anchor participant. And I can tell you that it became a transformational thing for me, for James Mwangi, for Strathmore, and even for Equity Bank. By that time, Equity Bank was just a little non-microfinance. In fact, people used to refer it as Bank ya Kiambu. But now look at Equity Bank in Juba, Equity Bank in South Africa. You can find Equity Bank in Uganda, Tanzania. It was actually in DRC and is scaling. So they were having their management retreat with board. So I was privileged to have a meeting with him, and there was so much things to talk about. And reminds me of how many CEOs actually I have made in my lifetime. I remember Robert Kibara of Housing Finance. He was a director at NIC. I remember Paul Russo, who was a HR director at KCB. Then we were mentoring, and then he became the CEO of National Bank. Now he's the CEO of the largest bank in Kenya, KCB. But I'm not here to talk about names. There are so many. I've made over 37 CEOs in Kenya. And I also remember Jacqueline Kitulu. Jacqueline Kitulu was the chairperson of Kenya Medical Association board. And when I trained her in Strathmore, she worked in AMREF. Now she's now leading the World Medical Association, which is the largest medical body ever in Africa, actually, in the world. And there are many cases to mention until one of my friends who used to work in Havana Media before said he's writing an article about just my corporate influence, and I'm looking forward to see that piece. So maybe those are the things that make me happy. But apart from that, I tell you that there's a lot of things to discuss, and the country needs alternative leadership. But for now, let's thank God for the grace of this day and for the continuing engagement, because everything else we put in the hands of God.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Now, Prof, a lot of things are happening, of course, as you've said, and there is something that happened in Suswa.
Yeah.
Which really hurt me.
Yeah.
Because in as much as maybe you can say that we hate policemen because of they're like supporting the government. They're not supporting the government. They're doing their job. But this one is someone's father. This one is someone's uncle.
Yeah.
Someone's husband.
Yeah.
And for that matter, someone's brother. And you just realize that now his hand is chopped off.
Yeah.
He cannot do anything.
Yeah.
What can be the problem?
So first of all, Boniface, let me tell you that there's something that all of us have to acknowledge, that hakuna mimba ya polisi. There's no woman who goes to labor ward saying that this pregnancy is a policeman or a policewoman. So these are human beings who face through this. Boniface, you've seen in the media, been arrested 8 times by these very policemen. And when I meet them, they talk very friendly. They tell us, they empathize with what we go through. They even tell you, Professor, we are not against you. In fact, sometimes they support us in some way. Sometimes they even give you advice. So when you see them on the camera, they look rough, but behind the scenes, they're really human beings, and they can also tell you their stories. I remember last time when I was at Central Police, there's a policeman who was put in a cell together with us because he was drunk. Of course, being drunk is a problem, but nevertheless, you could see they also can be put in a cell. So I saw the OCS even trying to cancel him inside the cell. So they're human beings. So we should remove ourselves from hatred. But let me first of all and say that the police falls under the National Police Service, and their main work is to maintain law and order. Alafu wanaitwa watumishi kwa wote. So watumishi kwa wote, they should serve all Kenyans irrespective of whether you are in government or not in government, whether you're a civilian or not. But unfortunately, we have a problem. You ask me, what's the problem? The fundamental problem is the kind of the leadership of the country at the moment. The president has become an existential security threat himself. Not that he's a thug of some kind, but the president is so hungry to hold on to power. He wants everybody to praise him. He wants so many choir members. He wants everyone to tell him he's doing well, yet he's not. He wants everyone telling the economy is doing well. He wants people to praise him, and the people not praising him have to be abducted. They have to be arrested. Some of them disappear. Some of them have to be sabotaged economically. I'm one of the victims. Because when I went and told people that the president is going to mismanage this economy, before he became one, people thought I was a politician. And he took advantage to ask Strathmore to fire me. You saw a video trending here when I was packing my things in Strathmore in tears. When I was crying, I was telling God that I don't know where you're taking me, but let me believe that I always have faith in you. And I told God that you've taken me through more difficult crises in life, and I managed to overcome them. So I left Strathmore with hope. Fortunately, now after leaving Strathmore in 2023, early 2023, I managed to get a job now at Uzima University and an academic. So what I'm trying to say is that the threat is all the president wants to be praised. The president wants even professionals to forget about their professionalism and just praise him. And I'm thinking that we have freedoms which are being violated. As we are talking about freedom of speech, there's another freedom that people have forgotten, which is more fundamental: freedom of association. That if you associate with any other person or with an idea that the president does not want, you are in trouble. So I was associating by believing that the economy was not being run well, so I had to lose my job. And not just me. So many friends of mine who are chairs of parastatals, board members, they were CEOs. The Kenya Gazette was so busy disappointing this person, appointing that one, disappointing that one. I'm sure you discover that over the last 2 years when William Ruto has been president, I've never seen a busy Gazette, Kenya Gazette. The Kenya Gazette is very busy. Like you can see now the issue of...
the Ruto job show.
Yeah, so those things. So there's a lot of business. So this has been a cancer. In the US, professionals normally have a voice over anything, like over Obamacare. Now you see now the Trump that talking about the issue of immigration. Scholars have written why there's a problem with that thinking. Getting job back to America by trying to kill jobs in other countries. He has been told it does not work. We are operating in the global economy where you become members of a democratic global economic member where we have to coexist together. We cannot have nationalistic politics or nationalistic policies now. We must have global policies. So nationalistic politics of Trump is more that America comes first. But you know what? If you come first, then you are last. And when you come last is when you are first. Even Jesus says it. So we can never go to those retrogressive politics, building bridges from the back. We have to build bridges going forward. So the policemen are having this challenge because of a president who believes everything should circulate around him and praise him. Secondly, he believes he wants a second term. That's why you're seeing he's forming a broad-based government. Everybody who seems to have a different opinion is either threatened or sabotaged, or they are invited to join government, then they keep quiet. I'm sure there are some days you saw some people declaring their candidature for presidency. Why have they gone quiet? they must have been called into government and given positions. You saw some Gen Zs shouting, saying Ruto must go. What has now happened that these shouts are not there? Where are they now? So I don't want to mention names here because I also believe that I don't want to believe I'm the right person, but I just believe that I've been very consistent that the current administration, whether I was in the street running or now that I'm an academic, those positions must remain fundamental. So when the president believes that he's under threat by people who stand the truth, academics are trained and they're educated using Kenya taxpayers' money. So why not allow their voice to be heard? If you don't believe in education, then don't invest money in education. But should you put money on education, allow the academic voice to come in, allow the professional voice. Can you imagine you're a professor of economics and the economy is being mismanaged and you don't have to talk because you fear? And I want to tell all leaders of universities, whether you are a chancellor or you are a chair of the university council or you are a chair of, or you are a DVC, let us not victimize our professionals when they use the knowledge they have gathered, they use the research they have actually created, and they use the knowledge which they have developed to critique a country, because that's how a country grows. As a philosopher, we believe normally someone comes with a thesis. A thesis can be merge parastatols. There must be antithesis. Don't merge because this and that. So then you have a synthesis between the thesis and the synthesis. And they say it is that way through the knowledge goes. For example, you can tell your wife, I want us to go have a holiday in South Africa. Then he says, by the way, why are we going to South Africa when everything that is South Africa can be found in Mombasa? So that critic makes you to think deeper, then you can be able to advise your wives better. So we have to allow the independence. So this is what is being threatened: freedom of association, and then freedom of speech. And when those are taken into consideration, the policeman is being used now to suppress the freedom of association and freedom of speech through abduction, through arrest, disappearances, and killings. Now, who executes this one is the police. Now, when a policeman executes an abduction, when a policeman executes an illegal arrest, when a policeman executes disappearance of some Kenyans, when a policeman violates court orders, isn't it? Then the state, the citizens see the policeman as an enemy.
As an enemy, yeah.
But who has made them? It is the person giving the orders to arrest, to do these illegalities that creates a bad image on the policeman, because the policemen are a servant. They take orders from their bosses. So first of all, there are two things here. One is that the policemen should not obey these orders. But the truth is, if they don't obey, they lose their jobs. So what will you do? If your brother has been given an order, go and arrest Fred, and Fred is innocent, and he knows I'm innocent. If he doesn't do, he loses his job, isn't it? But then the second thing is, when you give illegal orders as a boss, what are you trying to do? The policeman should maintain law and order. So once you give them an order which is against the law, against the policies, against the constitution, then now how do you maintain law and order outside the law? It doesn't make sense. So these policemen in Suswa were instructed to go and clear that highway because there was a right which was violated. So first of all, there was the driver who was driving the bus. Secondly, there was the ship that was crossing, isn't it? And then there's the owner of the ship. And then there's the passenger. So first of all, the first victim are the ship, isn't it? The other victim is the owner of the ship. And now these drivers, isn't it? Now discover that these policemen, when they went there, they were instructed, clear the highway. And they were not instructed to bring peace between the owners of the bus and the locals, which is the priority. And we can dialogue. I used to teach what's called dialogical ethics, where you achieve something by involving the people. When they reached there, it was all about removing stones. It was not about let's talk. But had they engaged the local people on how to remove the stones, even the locals could have cleared the stones and there could be peace, isn't it? So why are we here? We are getting policemen being instructed wrongfully by their bosses who pay them. And there's unemployment in Kenya. So do you lose a job in this economy? Who wants to lose a job in this economy? So the conflict that is being brought by an administration which don't want to maintain law and order is the main reason why the policeman is in trouble. And let me say the following, that policemen are brothers and sisters to us.
That's right.
I have a policeman in my family. I have an uncle who was a policeman. I have friends and relatives who are policemen. I also have students I taught who are policemen. When anything happens to them, I imagine, what if it was one of the person I know? So this policeman who went there abled, now he lives disabled without an arm. He can never carry his children normally with the two arms. I know there's disability for many people, but we do not also propagate that more people should become disabled to sympathize with disabled people. So he leaves the scene disabled. Does he have medical insurance? Is there education insurance for his children that he cannot, if he cannot be able to bring bread on the table, the children can actually get their education going? Does he have a house insurance so that if he cannot continue being a policeman, he can live in a house where he doesn't have to pay? At the same time, do they have a salary that when you leave work, the pension can keep you when you're not working? Because you see, policemen in Kenya, entry level is 25,000 shillings, isn't it? Now, if you're taking, for example, NSSF, might deduct 2,000 shillings. So if you have worked for 10 years, isn't it? 2,000 shillings.
That is 2,000, that is 20.
Yes, but you see, of course, it's less than 10,000. They maybe boot 500, isn't it? So it's very insignificant. What we are saying to say is that the work condition for the policemen has been terrible. When you see them rough, sometimes it can also be psychological, where someone is put you in the front line, where is life and death with no insurance. Someone put on the front line with no consumerate benefit. You know, if I'm in the lifeline where I can die or not, I should earn money to actually compensate the fact that it's my life I'm putting on the line. Look at Gen Z. You put the policemen in town. Some of them died. Some of them were having injuries that are serious, isn't it? So why do you expose the policemen just for your hunger for power, hunger for wealth, where there's corruption, there's lack of governance, but then the policeman comes to defend you. You are unpopular because Infotrack shows the president's popularity is 17%. So according to me, should we allow more policemen to continue dying or being disabled, or the person in power should see the need to step down or resign? For me, that's the main question. Boniface, if you are the president today and your popularity is 17%, and this popularity is ensuring that some people must be disappearing, there must be abduction, there must be a lawful arrest, the policeman's life is in danger, they have to be killed. Some policemen, like for example, the leaders, Masengeli was an acting IG. He was instructed to carry out these abductions, isn't it? He did them. When these guys disappear, court ordered, appear in court to explain where these people are, the Kitengela 3. Then you don't appear, and because you don't appear, an order is issued on you where you are sentenced. Then Masengeli loses his job as inspector by that Kome also resigned just because of you. So Kome resigned because of you. Masengeli loses a job because of you, isn't it? Kanja now is in trouble because of you, isn't it? The DCI is in trouble because of you. Every arm of government is in trouble because of you. Parliament was occupied because of you. How important are you as one person that everybody has to pay with their blood, with their job, with their career, and your career has to remain, and every career has to be destroyed? So for me, this is a moral question. I'm not against anybody, but I'm asking myself, if you go and sit down in the chapel and you look at Jesus on the cross and ask Jesus, which cross am I carrying? And should people carry my cross while for me I enjoy power? Isn't it? Then you chest stamp in Kakamega, you chest stamp in Homa Bay, you chest stamp in Kisumu. where are we going? So for me, the main question is, who will defend the policemen that now, you see, if politicians were the ones who, if a civilian, the one who was disabled, you could see politicians shouting and defending them, the civilian. But now the policemen, they are seen to be essentially wrong because the people who see the execution of brutality, the face of brutality is the police.
The police.
But the one behind brutality is a politician. And you can say, for example, a head of state is the one instructing brutality. Because if you look, Justin Muturi yesterday, I'm told he never attended the cabinet meeting. Justin Muturi said his son was abducted by the policeman. Then he happens to call the inspector general, who says, I don't know. Then he calls the president doesn't pick. Then he goes to State House, the president helps him to call the Haji, and then the son is released. So who is the face of brutality? It is the police, isn't it? But who is the brutality itself?
The state.
Is the state. So why should everybody pay a price for me? How important am I that everybody must pay a price for me? And when I was growing up, my father used to be a catechist. My father taught me something, not by theory, but by action. There's a day we had a family meeting, and then my mother accused my father before us. My father was the one sharing. My mother accused my father for being arrogant to her in one of the functions. So because my father was one sharing the family meeting, my father said, told my brother, Father Paul, he's coming soon to Nairobi, you'll see him, that Baba now chair this meeting because I'm accused. I cannot chair a meeting where I'm the accused. So my father had to step down as the head of the family for an hour, so that my mother can feel comfortable that is my brother, our elder brother, chairing the meeting and will decide. Can we have one day a head of state or a leader who can step down for justice to be seen in this way? And yesterday when I was teaching in Naivasha, I told the team that we must listen, tweak, and evolve. Now, do we have a president who listens what Kenyans want, who listens to what other people want, then tweak his ideas, then become another president? Because you can't tell me you are a president. The first year, you look the same. The second year, you look the same. The third year, you look the same. But Kenyans are telling you what they're telling you, and Kenyans are wrong. You're the only one who is right. Isn't it? Sure, you are right. Kenyans are wrong. University funding model, you are right. They are wrong. You go to affordable housing, you are right. They are wrong. Isn't it? Adani, you are right. They are wrong. Isn't it? And these are 50 million people against one person who is right all the time. As a leader, you must listen, tweak your ideas, and evolve. Remember, the president wanted to merge this parastatal in the very first cabinet meeting it was passed, isn't it? When Gen Zs came after him, he suspended it. He kept it calm. Now he's back with it, isn't it? They told you, Murkomen, so-and-so should not be in the cabinet, isn't it? He kept quiet, isn't it? Now he brought them back, isn't it? They told you, retirement age of the cabinet is 55. Anybody below 55 should go home, isn't it? Now you brought us another monument, isn't it? People should be in a museum to be sitting in the cabinet. Even if they come, they start shouting and threatening, isn't it? Shouting and threatening. They are threatening on your behalf. So this thing, obsession with power, is killing our future. And I want to urge the head of state, let's reflect, let's listen, let's tweak, let us evolve, let us look at the policemen and even military. The military cadet entry salary is 24,695, isn't it? Why don't we find a way on which the military can be looked after? They're also on the lifeline. Remember last time when Gen Z came with the revolution, they were brought to the CBD. But when they brought the CBD, I like what they did. Walifanya hivi.
Yeah, the citizens,
isn't it? Why don't the police also do this with the citizens? And most importantly, why don't the president do this to the citizens? Handshake took place between Raila Odinga, isn't it? And Ruto, isn't it? Why don't the president handshake Kenyans? And what I mean by handshake, affordable healthcare, education, isn't it? Cost of living, create employment. You cannot have a budget of 4.3 trillion, with 800 only going to development. The rest was recurrent expenditure. Yet, you threaten Kenyans. And I want to end by saying this. We need to be very careful with the kind of leadership that doesn't listen, because no one is perfect. Even Jesus listened to Mary. Remember the time when Jesus went to visit Lazarus, or went to visit Mary and Martha, isn't it? And then Mary was the one busy with Jesus, isn't it? Martha was busy preparing food, isn't it? Why was Jesus spending time to listen to Mary? And then remember, Mary appears in the life of Jesus even after resurrection. There must be something that Mary impacted on Jesus that made him become maybe more empathetic, because he told, Lord, if you were here, my brother could have not died. You see, this is empathy. So let me ask you, can someone ever tell William Ruto, Mr. President, if you are here, my son, my daughter could have not died of hunger? Mr. President, if you are here, my son could have not died because SHA failed. My mother, my father could have not failed to get dialysis, could have not failed to get chemo. If you are here. If you are here, my son could have gotten a scholarship to study and become the most qualified professional abroad. Can I tell Mr. President, if you are here, I could have not lost my job. Mr. I was just a professor. I was never concerned about politics. If you are here, Bon, can someone ever say, if you are here, this could have not happened? If no one can say that, but many politicians can say, if you are not here, I could have not be a cabinet minister. If you're not here, I could have not been a PS. If you're not here, I could have not been prime secretary. If you're not here, I could have not been a governor or an MP. Those are positions which don't add value to Kenyans. And I want to ask Mr. President, we want to say this after you leave office. If you are here, like we can say, Mr. President, President Mwai Kibaki, if you are not here, you could have not gotten free primary education. Mr. President, if you're not here, the economy could have not grown the way it grew. Mr. President, if you're not here, we could have not seen the leadership that was more involved about performance with qualified cabinet, competent cabinet. Mr. President, if you're not here, there could have not been low corruption in the country. But here we are going to say the opposite. And that's what is my main problem. Thank you.